Hey guys, welcome back. You know, I'm messing around, just throwing things in loosely here. I'm trying to figure out where all my routing of my hoses are going to go, because things are a little different with this top end on here. And since I have these rail coolers, they come out here, these Van Amberg coolers run along the side, so things are a little different. The IQR had a tunnel cooler in here. We don't have that anymore. So I just dropped the motor in pretty loosely. I'm just messing around here. Now this stuff takes a while, you know, it takes a bit of time. I'm just sort of playing with different options of routing. This is the stock hose, goes to the front of the motor, and just sort of messing around. Coolant bottle, cut this little 90-degree that comes off the bottom here of the Van Amberg. Nothing's written in stone at this point because I still have to put some parts in. The belt drive's got to go in. The exhaust can has to come down as well. So, you know, we're going to have to mess around with this a little bit. I'm going to have to make sure that this is protected against the heat. This is all pretty easy so far. You know, if I come off the cooled brake here, I think this pipe is off MXZ. You know, I can easily tie that in there. If I'm worried about the heat, we can use some aluminum straight round stock. Could even bend it up if we needed to. So that's that. Now, something else that's different is on the IQR, the little outlet here comes down the side over here, but on the 800 it's right there. So I ordered a new outlet. Pretty sure that's the outlet. So we're going to have to figure out how that goes. And then on the other running board side, we have to come by this clutch somehow and get in underneath the motor. So lots of messing around with our brain to try to figure out where all this stuff's going to go. Can't go near the clutch, obviously. If the clutch blows, it's going to destroy the hose unless we use some solid stock as well, or hollow round. We'll probably end up doing that. So just messing around, loosely fitting everything. But I think now what I'm going to do, because I'm sort of getting my head around all that so I can go home and think about it tonight, I'm going to pop this motor out. I'm going to continue working on this cross shaft here, the jack shaft, and a few other little things. I had to loosen off the chain case bolts, the upper ones here, get that rotor in. A little bit of a tight fit. There we go. I'll just push that shaft through. Got a bunch of parts on the table here. You know, everything in this build I kind of have to buy. You don't want to go out and have to buy all your parts and pieces to build a sled. You want to buy a whole sled and work your way down. But I didn't have that option at the time, so it is what it is. I'm building my own. You get to say that I build my whole machine right from the ground up. I have no idea where any parts go on this machine. Never torn one apart before. But in a week or so it'll all be together. So I'm going to pop this motor out, get out of there. What am I against here? Pull that out of there. Get out. Be careful with that. So I've started putting this shaft in, this cross shaft. Get that all mounted up. Just received all the components for the belt drive. 27 top tooth, 60 bottom tooth. From C3 Power Sports. That goes in tomorrow. But all these little odds and ends, I need to put the grommet in and the filter inside the tank. We'll do all that today. So I got this brake caliper off a guy named Joe Rigotti. It's been a big help to me. He's sent me a bunch of parts off one of his IQRs. Because if I had to buy every one of these parts new, man, that is expensive stuff. Thankfully I didn't have to do that, but I do have new pads. Those in there. Like I said, I can't believe how thick that rotor is on this beast. It is a monster. Monster rotor. Pretty easy way to change the pads on this too. Easiest way that I've ever seen actually in my life. Pretty awesome. Make sure that turns. It's good. On. Brakes on. Sweet. Now, I'm going to put that fuel grommet in. So I got this hose from Polaris part number. It was too long. So I'm just going to shorten it up a wee bit. Keep it so it's at the back. Right about there. Keep that, that'll come in handy. Then all you do with this little gizmo is push that in to there. And then once I put this grommet in the tank, I just push this 90-degree elbow in there and it'll have a nice tight seal. Oops, fuel gauge. Go. So I just put this little band on here. It clamps down nice and tight on top of that. You don't want this to come off. Not a good thing when you're out wondering why your slide's not getting fuel. I'm just going to slip that in now. A little bit of soapy water on there. Helps it go through the grommet every time. There we go. I can clock that to wherever I need to, but right now I'm going to leave it there, because I found out that I got the wrong fuel pump. Good times, so I need to get a different fuel pump. All right, on to something else. I'm going to put the steering post on now. Take a little bit of lube. Put that on there. Got to lube these things up before you install them. Keep it nice and tight. This big giant Heim joint threads in here. I didn't know where this went at first, didn't know how they attach this. I could really look around, figure it out. So spin that in there. Now, got to determine the angle of the dangle. Put that on the wrong side. Didn't know that. Let's go up here. Get in there. There we go. I'm just going to check for clearance with this little ball joint here, or little Heim joint, whatever you want to call it. This will be a ball joint. The other one's a Heim. As I know. No issues there. Not sure exactly which way it goes yet, but I'm pretty sure we're good on both sides. Right on. Keely asked me if I'm going to drill holes in here to lighten this up. You know, I'm not really that concerned about lightening this sled up as much, because right now she's a pretty light machine. But I do want it to be tough. So that's that. I'm going to find a shorter bolt for that because that's too long. All right. Oh my God. What's going on? So you go through here. You go through here. You guys have probably noticed that I've just been hammering out the videos. It's about mid-January right now. We've lost a lot of snow. So now is the time to get the videos done. Because when it starts to snow, we want to be ready to rock and roll. Turns. Now I just got to put the nut, this monster nut, on here. It is a monster. Old engineers at Polaris were tight on this one. I don't know if you can see anything on there. I'm definitely not going to get a socket on that baby. Have you ever seen such a big nut on a snowmobile? Well, I've seen a couple nuts on snowmobiles. Is it an inch and an eighth? Yep, inch and an eighth. All right, there we go. Wow, steering column's in. That's a good sign. Okay. Now, this is a tricky thing. You know, they've shoehorned a lot of these parts and pieces in here. You can easily see how they did it. All that steering mechanism there packed into that one little area. I'll just turn that in. Reverse thread there. Here, do this. Do this. I'm not going to be able to align that steering until we get everything hooked up. So I'm just going to leave that loose like that for now. But what I can do is shorten up the steering rods because we put on this narrower stance. We have to shorten them up as per Alternative Impact's instructions. So I'm going to do that right now. Got to get that steering hooked up. Oh, there we go. Nice new rods. Let's see. I need to cut a lot more than that off. The good thing about these steering rods, or these tie rods, whatever you want to call them, from Polaris, they're drilled all the way through. Yep, so it's easy to tap. What I usually do, I run a tap through first, cut, tap a little bit more, and then cut again. But make sure you do it on the side with the proper thread. You cut the reverse thread side and you're in trouble, which is this one here, and I'm not going to do that. All right. Okay, so 1.5 inches, for fuck's sakes. Good. Now, I haven't cut this down yet, but I'm going to run the tap through it as far as I can, and then I'll start to cut. Put it down a little bit, bring it in a little bit. I haven't lubed it. Could probably run some WD-40 through it here. But you know what? It's not like it's a drilled hole by me. This is actually going quite easily. You got to get those shavings out. If you don't do that, you try to turn them in, your rod end, it's going to bind. It's going to be a nightmare. You're going to wreck both. while I'm just going to tap it again. I've got to still go down another 1.5 inches or so. And the first one of these I had to shorten them up for, what the heck did I do? Oh, that ZX chassis. It wasn't, the shafts weren't drilled on it, so I had to drill them. That was a lot of fun, and then tap them. So, I've left enough room on it so that I can make adjustments, my proper toe in and toe out. All right, there's one. Now this other side, I'm not going to tighten anything up now because I still have to put the bars on and do a proper alignment on it. But we've more or less got this set up the way we need it. Have enough room for the nut on there. I'll just do this. There. Go. So that's it. That's a wrap for today. I've got to order a few more little parts and go pick up some parts at the dealership. I've got my valves, exhaust valves that are in. I've got the console cover that we're going to get more done. So next week this has to go into jaws. It's going to build the pipe. So we've got a little bit of work to do. Thanks for coming by, guys. Make sure you keep coming back. More IQR 800 Mountain Mod vids coming soon.
Make it impossible to find me. Go on and believe it's nothing at all. Aren't you sick of promises that I break?